it's always about your life. It's never about blindly following something just because somebody told you to follow. When the mind says it's time to rest, that's the point to keep going.
Over the last 4 years, whilst working with Master Shi Heng Yi, his lessons, teachings and wisdom that we've shared on our platform have reached over 1 billion views across Instagram, TikTok and YouTube. Over those 1 billion views, certain lessons stood out. There were certain lessons that the population of the world gravitated towards. And a lot of people have been asking me the question of what those rules are. Well, today we take a look at across all our social media platforms and look into exactly the lessons that the world needed to hear. And I hope that these are some messages that you guys need to hear. Today's video, as always, was powered by Huel. Today I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, as always. It has 35 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and is absolutely delicious. I take it everywhere on my shoots, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on in the video. But if you want to get some Huel, head to the link in the description and check the top pinned comment for exclusive discounts. But before that, what were the messages that really resonated with the world? Let's dive into the video.
So I wanted to have a conversation similar to what we've spoken about over the past couple of days about applying the stuff that you guys do with the Shaolin teachings, the physical methods that you use and how people can apply them into their day-to-day lives, but also some of the importance and maybe some of the history of it as well. Just this morning, we saw some of your training, and you gave us a small insight to what that is. And it included hardening the bones and the body, and then it was into physical fighting that we would see from like MMA fighters. And I guess sometimes when you see from the outside Shaolin, even loads of different martial arts, from karate to whatever it is, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's practical. And I feel like what some of the conversations we've spoken about is about drawing that back in. And I think maybe it's a held belief for yourself that that's something you want to do, that you want to be able to have that sort of practical element of it and apply it into our lives. And I just basically love to hear some of your thoughts on it. And then I guess we can break it down into the disciplines, the courage, the compassion, all that kind of stuff.
For example, this morning, you saw, first of all, one of my very, very close friends. Actually, he's like my brother. He's like my younger brother. We grew up together in the city over here, but then he had some things to do in another city. I had my studies, for example, going on. So in between, our paths sometimes just separated. But nevertheless, if I look on a wider scale, I can see he's my brother. I can feel he's my brother. At the same time, when he grew up very young, he already started being interested, first of all, on the martial arts. And second of all, also his interest is into dancing. Okay, so me at the same time, I also showed you this morning, I'm interested into sometimes technical aspects, meaning I started earning my first money actually by being a bicycle courier, driving out sandwiches that people ordered here in that city. This is like the first money that somehow I started earning. And parallel to all of this, I also had the interest in the martial arts. So in the first place, without now talking about this monastery, Xiao Shen and myself, we are simply martial art enthusiasts. We just like this training, which also goes hand in hand with the fact when we were still, let's say, younger than right now, we also like to compete, of course. When you're young, when the testosterone is still quite high, when you're still a little bit unsure about yourself, of course, you want to use the martial art, in our case, and actually battle yourself with other people. So that also means that in very young ages already, it started don't understand it wrong. It's not we were looking for conflict, but we understood that going consciously into conflict at the same time carries the possibility that you are learning something about yourself. And it also reveals at the same time if you are lying to yourself, if you think about yourself you're better than you at the end actually are. So that means conflicts, once they arise, it just starts to bring out that it brings out part of the truth. Let's say it like this. Okay. So then those two of us, me for example also, growing up in that city, then we had the chance that this monastery on the one side was founded, getting also in contact with the Shaolin Temple in China. And it's in a way for enthusiasts like us, nothing better could have happened. So having the chance right now to, on a daily basis, just follow up on your own passion that we have anyway, and then even having this possibility that people are interested to more or less know about what are you practicing, why are you practicing it, and what's the benefit of it. So, and this is how over time, throughout all different channels, let's say, and throughout working hard, staying with it, people started talking about us, people started seeing more about us. So this is why everything evolved in the way until we know or we have what nowadays is called the Shaolin Temple Europe. Okay. So this place right now is run by many. It's not just Xiao Shen and myself. We have more teachers inside of here sharing the same passion, sharing the same background, meaning this martial way of thinking, this physicality being integrated into already your upbringing. This is what all of us inside this Shaolin Temple Europe is connecting us. So, and we have people that are, let's say, specialized in certain areas. We have people with a bigger overview, but at the same time, everybody somehow has his place inside this community. And just throughout time, when many people come together, everyone with a very specific skill set, everybody different from us, different childhood, different education, sometimes different style, meanwhile, what we are specializing in. Different visions, different feelings, different emotions, everything different. But one thing the same. The realization that our lifetime is not just about us, and that it gives a really good feeling, or sometimes also a nice purpose, knowing that we're going to go together as a bond, as a band of brothers, to have a brotherhood. And together in this brotherhood create something that is benefiting more than just the individuals inside of it. Yes, and yeah, this now just like the short story about what happened this morning, how come that we are actually living together like this. So, and now, just a few years back, I was also staying right here outside in the monastery all the time. But as I also said, meanwhile, we have so many guests coming, which made it necessary for me to actually leave out to a separate apartment, leaving more space for the participants to come here. The circumstances have changed for me. The surroundings, the environment, let's say, has changed for me. What cannot leave me are the principles that have always followed my life. So, and just looking, I mean, I don't consider myself old, but all of us inside of here, this whole community, we are all young guys, young people. Of course, we enjoy going out, listening to music, talking to other people, just socializing. Of course, this is something which is also interesting and attractive to us. Of course, sometimes when we are being invited, because I grow up here, I know the city, I know the people. So that means it's natural that I also have friends outside of the monastery. But at the same time, I know. Why? Because I felt it before. I know that when I go out in the evening and I do not discipline myself, I let myself go too much with whatever flow there is, or with the dynamic of the group, or with the flow of the evening. It's not that it's bad. I'm not thinking in terms of bad. I'm thinking in terms of consequence. And that means if someone's getting drunk in the evening, if I get drunk in the evening, which happened, I don't feel well the next day. I don't feel clear the next day. My decisions are not the best the next day. But meanwhile, everything has become so, let's say, so big also on the one side. People also depending a little bit based on the actions that I'm taking, that I just decide I cannot take decisions and I don't want to take decisions, knowing that the reach of these decisions is going to affect everyone. I don't want to take a wrong decision because I'm not clear in the mind. So just based only on this fact, for example, I can go out, but I don't drink. If I know I have some obligation the next day, I set up all the previous days before in order to be ready for the day to come. Okay? So, and that means very clear that if I have put something upon my mind, which for me has a priority, which for me is nothing anymore to discuss about, then all the actions now that I'm doing, I just always compare, does this action, is it compatible to what I actually, or where I want to go? And that also means that you need to, of course, discipline yourself regardless of how inside you feel. Because, of course, just like every human, when you are out and there are many friends of yours and everybody's laughing and the mood is good and the group dynamic is good and the energy is up, and then they invite you, why don't you just stay a little bit longer? It's just 4 o'clock, stay until 6. Yeah, and I know next day I have to go out. Of course, there is a side of myself having this wish, this feeling, oh, okay, come on, let's go on. But I can't. I would if I could, but I can't. Why? Because I have another priority. Because somewhere I'm saying, okay, it was a nice evening until right now, all is good. For me, I'm really happy already that I spent this time with all of you, but I need to get back to mission. And this is the point where discipline for me, for example, comes in, that despite the fact of your internal world, your emotions, your feelings, maybe tell you something else, yeah, but discipline is for me that it's not listening in that case now necessary to your feelings, but to call out again what was your priority that you have set to yourself while you still had a clear mind. Okay, so, and this I keep. So, discipline on the one side, meaning you are keeping your commitment. You are keeping your commitment, so that means it is something about actively doing. Let's say you are actively, consciously keeping your goal. But discipline at the same time also means you're leaving away the stuff that you know is gonna block you along the way. So discipline in that sense is not just a one-way street. It's about what you want, this is what you do, and what you know is not good for you, you leave it. So we have an active part, a passive part, yeah? This is where it comes to discipline. Now, next thing is, once I wake up in the morning, after then having a short 5-minute, 10-minute, just like sitting calm, sitting still. So when I come into my office, you maybe saw there is one meditation pillow on the carpet. I just sit down, close my eyes, put my hands into the center, focus on the breathing, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just like arrive. Meaning, because when I'm sitting, there is no physical activity going on. So, which means you are not moving in a way. The eyes can also be shut. For me, the advantage of doing these things, what is nowadays maybe known as meditative practices, is that you have consciously actually shut down the senses of the body. So once the senses of the body, your inside world with the outside world, is in a way not connected anymore, or there are no disturbances, that means you can be very intimate with the world of your thoughts. You actually literally see the thoughts coming and also realize if you keep a thought, if a thought is more easy to let go, if other thoughts come, despite the fact you want to let them go, they still try to stay. You realize such subtleties about your mind. So, and the reason why I sit sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, is just in order to make it blank. Just to blank it out. Until for myself, I feel like, okay, now it's just, I'm completely in, it feels like you're constantly in observation mode. You're just observing. You are not an actor inside of there anymore. If you catch a thought, this is what I would regard as now you're becoming an actor. You're starting now to play your movie. But being in observation mode, you don't really care what type of movie is now gonna happen. You're just observing. So this is the state where I wait until this hits in. So, and afterwards, have my first cup of tea just to start warming up the organs. And then just heading upwards. And in case Xiao Shen is awake, then we train together. If he's not there, I train alone. Yeah. Because this type of training is now another, let's say it's another chapter within the day where actually I am priming and I'm conditioning myself to, let's say, to strengthen certain principles that I know will help me afterwards throughout the rest of the day, which is like, don't give up. Just like as an example, I don't know what type of email is going to come in. I don't know how many appointments I'm still going to have, let's say, on that day. The point is like this. Once I have an appointment, once I have something on my schedule, there is no way for me to give up and not appear there. So, and similar like this, I'm already saying to myself, this morning training is now like the small preparation. Because what I'm doing is all the time, you start slowly, of course, to warm yourself up, but then you push yourself. You push yourself to that point where you feel that thought is coming back, it's time to rest. And when the mind says it's time to rest, that's the point to keep going. That is that threshold which is going to make the difference afterwards. So discovering your limits on the one side is the first thing. Discovering it is the first step. Because discovering your limits means you have a vision about what you can do, and at the same time the limit is showing you what you cannot do at the moment. We're still in the field of martial arts, of course, right now. Okay? But so using this training in the morning is not just about the physicality and the fact of that we are training martial art movements. In the first place, it is also to condition myself to a certain vibe that I'm carrying throughout this life. And what is that vibe? That vibe is, I don't know what this life is going to bring, but there is no alternative. Then when the challenge comes, when life is getting hard, there is no alternative for me than to just keep going. But from where can I pull the strength? From where do I have this energy in order to move, to keep going when already you feel exhausted, when it's already hard? Well, it's because I do it every day already for 1 hour. Exactly the same thing happening, but using my body in that sense. Conditioning my body, bringing my body to the limit, and then by doing so, cultivating the mindset. And now, what type of exercises or methods or content now we are using for ourselves? Let's say, you see, we have the big bag, and we have all the hardening materials. So everything that you see in this room, at the end, it is the tools that after spending more than 30 years along the way of martial arts, I have personally decided for myself, this is the basics that I think for me is already, let's say, good. Meaning, martial art training without having a bag, something's missing. Martial art training without conditioning your body, something is missing. Martial art training without walking your forms, something is missing. So because I have seen many different martial art styles, because I have met many different masters, teachers in the field of martial arts, that's why I can, of course, coming from the past, in a way compare myself to others. Sensing, feeling, seeing, what do other martial artists have and what maybe I have. And then I'm a little bit stuck maybe on old movies or anything like this, but it's really similar, like with all the Marvel movies. It's like everybody has special skills. The question for you is, this life is so unique, what type of special skill set, so more skills together, would you like to incorporate into your life? It's not that everybody needs to be able to do the same things. Of course, there's a fundamental basis, but ultimately it is also the martial art training, the Kung Fu. It's an expression of your very individual, personalized life. And this is why I use the tools that I use. I do the training as I do the training. Because I have a vision about what type of martial artist, what type of personality, or let's say like this, I would like to be in when it comes to the martial arts. Okay? So, is this the only way to do the training? Of course not, like I just said before. So now I might be jumping a little bit, but if people, for example, nowadays, all the time we talk about the Shaolin teachings, the Shaolin arts. If you look right now out in the world, just recently this year, you could see that a huge delegation from the Shaolin Temple China was traveling throughout the whole world. Yeah, North America, South America, Europe, Australia. And what is the goal, let's say, in a way? It is to spread also this type of knowledge, to spread this type of idea that physicality, physical movement, martial arts, merged together with certain theoretical guidelines is something that can be useful for the majority of this world. Therefore, you find, meanwhile, there are Shaolin temples, you find Shaolin cultural centers, you find all types of different events in order to get to know more about what is this Shaolin culture about. So, and along this way, what it means is that meanwhile you find over our globe a complete network of locations looking similar like a small martial forest. A martial forest made out of different smaller centers that are covering our earth. And if you are interested to get to know more about the Shaolin arts, these are the places for you to go. If you have never heard about this type of lifestyle, this type of way before, this is the place to go. As an introduction, there's nothing wrong in just doing so. But there simply is at the same time also a difference. And I think in our very, very first conversations, I have mentioned this already. The more easy reachable it becomes for the masses. It is my perspective, the less deep it can go. Because the teaching, in order to be easily understood, in order to be easily accepted, must be held on such an easy level, on such a basic level, that somebody who has nothing to do with it yet also finds it appealing to actually try out. So the entrance is easy. But what I'm telling you is, or what my personal training is, it's not easy. My emphasis, why I do the training is, as long as it's easy, that's not the training. I do the training to get started until it gets hard, and then it matters. This is my philosophy about why I'm using the martial arts. Yeah? And so that means to continuously push yourself. And this is not about right or wrong, or even sometimes the discussions nowadays, this is not real Shaolin and this is Shaolin. Everybody has access to the social medias, everybody has access to the internet now. I don't care what people think. You have your possibility of just do your research, but please do it properly. And afterwards, you can really decide for yourself. If you are not resonating with what I am saying, no need to follow me. No need to listen to me, nothing of this. Okay? The reason why I'm sharing this is because if people will ask the right question, they're gonna get the right answer. Okay? I'm really tired also a little bit of this constant discussions. Real, not real, certification, not certification. Okay, who wants to follow, follows, and who doesn't, doesn't. Okay, meanwhile, there is so much material out, people can see what is it that we are teaching here, who are the people that are teaching here, what is the background of the people that are teaching here, and then just build up your own reality is absolutely fine. But continuously poisoning first of all yourself by causing disbalance inside of your mind, and also poisoning like communities. We have enough poison and conflicts going on already. Is not necessary. So therefore, live and let live, and everybody just like focus on their own personal development. This is going to be the last and final thing to talk about this type of topic, in case somebody wants to know. Yeah, so. Yeah, then afterwards, after finishing my morning routine, meaning also like with Shen together, I don't know, the next thing that happens is after you have completely sweated, you know you have done the work, maybe there is like a sense of pride. A sense of pride that, okay, I mean, the day has just begun. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The whole day is still in front of you, but you have already achieved something. You have already, in the first hours, challenged yourself, pushed yourself. At the end, actually did something good for the body because of the movement, did something good for, let's say, your breathing apparatus because you learned to regulate the breath, did something good for the flexibility of the body, did something good in order to increase the strength that you have. It's good. For me, this is a good start in the day. So, and then afterwards, normally I just take a shower, go then down into the office again, prepare maybe another cup of tea or sometimes also a cup of coffee. And then I have like 1 hour, 2 hours sometimes I do the office work. Yeah. So, and also there, I have limited the time that I'm spending in front of the screen. Like I said, 1 hour, 2 hour maximum in that morning. Maximum. What I cannot answer in those 2 hours, I have scheduled it at a later point in time. So meaning the first thing that when I look at the inbox is I'm just flying over everything and looking for myself which one has a priority. Which one has a priority that in the best case I can answer right away now in the morning. And so this is what I do. All the other ones where I feel like there is no time pressure, yeah, I move it to another time. Yeah. So, and this is how very structured I have the way how I wake up, how I make my training, how I do the office work, okay? Because then latest around 11 o'clock, normally I then also drive out here to the temple, either having private lessons if there are private students, or also just like talking to people here about how are things going. Okay? Because meanwhile, this community has grown so much that it was necessary, and I also regarded it as being the right thing to do, in also like to start delegating some type of work related to this monastery to my students, to people that have been here for a long time, because this is exactly the thing. For many, many years, all of this has been like, it's like you would say it has been my child. And so what is the hardest thing? It is to invest your love, invest your time, invest everything, go through all the pain to make that child grow and develop. But then you can see already, you can sense it, the time has come that it's not possible somehow anymore for you to still remain on the side of the child. Okay? And it's really hard because you have built up such a strong relationship to all of this. And now it's time to let go. Understand? So even that is difficult for me. But then I actually went really inside and asked myself, but why is it that, what is it I'm afraid of about this child? The only thing I want is that this child continuously starts to grow, and actually that the child is always well off, that the child is being taken care of. Okay? And now I have to jump a little bit, but you see, this is how it's for me all connected. sometimes I had the thought already, now I'm building up this race bike, okay, which took me 5 years. And sometimes I have these thoughts like, okay, what happens one day when like I'm gone? Where will this bike end up? Yeah, am I going to give it to a museum? Or who is going to take care of that bike in the way how I did it? And there I came to the conclusion, most probably no one. No one is going to adopt this child and will take care of that child in the way how I did it. Why not? Because now in regards to the bike, there is nobody else around who was involved in the process of building up that bike. This is why nobody has that type of relationship and connection to the bike. Now I jump back to the temple. I want this temple to survive. I want this organization to go on. I want that somebody is taking care of this place just like their child. How to do it? They must be integrated in the process already of bringing up that child. And that was the point where I said, it's time to delegate. It's time to let other people also start to understand the sufferings of the child, the problems of the child, and then let them figure out by themselves how to know which medicine is it you need to give. And I slowly just took myself out a little bit, just overseeing. Just making sure it's your responsibility, everything right now. Just in case something goes very wrong, I'm there. Then you can come. If it's all okay, I will just watch it. Okay? So this is the process which has been going on right now, more or less, yeah, let's say since 1 year, 2 years ago it slightly started, but since the last time that we saw each other, this is like the process which is going on here. Okay? So I started taking myself out, feeling that it's time for a new, something old, an old era is about to come to an end. A new era is about to come. This is worldwide happening. It's happening inside our monastery. It's happening inside of me. Yes. Yeah, so where I got stuck now, where have we been? Yeah, 11 o'clock, coming out and asking the people if everything is okay. And then normally the schedule of the monastery just starts to take place, which means if we are having guests over here, then in the afternoon, sometimes I have training, okay? And then I mostly stay until around 6 o'clock, sometimes 7 o'clock in the evening, drive home to visit, for example, also the abbot of our monastery and having conversations with him, exchanging ideas, what might be like the next steps. And then already the evening has come and the next training is happening. Yeah. And then just the day repeats again.
If you lead a busy life like me and millions of other people around the world, you might be struggling to get your nutrition in. That's where this stuff comes in, absolutely clutch. If health was easy, everyone would be doing it. But she'll make it that easy. You scoop, you shake, and you go, and you get 40 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and every single ingredient inside this and all of Hugh's other products has been expertly tested by their team to make sure you're getting exactly what you need. And if I'm really in a pinch for time, I'll grab their ready to drink, which has 35 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and tastes delicious. Don't just take my word for it though. People like Idris Elba, Diver CEO Stephen Bartlett, and Hardest Geezer, who ran the entire length of Africa, use this as part of their daily routine. So if you want to find out more, go to the link down below. You can get exclusive offers, like if you sign up to their subscription service, you get 10% off all future orders, and if it's your first time ordering, you get a free shaker and t-shirt. It's also now available in major retailers in the UK and the US. What are you waiting for? Go get it.
I think something we spoke about a lot actually, but never put this terminology on it. And I don't know if you know of it by this terminology, but the law of attraction and how to use the law of attraction to manifest things into reality.
I heard about this terminology before, the law of attraction. I don't know necessarily how you would define it. But as I understand it, in a way, it is about, let's say, how to make something manifest that you want. If this is the case, then for me, starting very easily again, it starts with the smallest area inside of yourself. It starts with the smallest aspect. Let's just take it as the world of thoughts. But the world of thoughts is not graspable. The only one who knows about it is yourself. So wanting to manifest something is now the question, how can you start expressing what you feel deep inside of yourself in such a way that the world of forms start to mirror it. And so what you again therefore want is, it's about harmony. You actually want that something which is sitting inside of you gets into direct resonance with what we have available on the outside. And I don't think there is a magic formula for this. What I know is that 100% hard work helps. Simple like this. So I wouldn't say that just think about it, just make your wishful thinking, just make your prayers, depending on what type of prayers. But having something that you really want, spending your time to already manifest it in the mind as good as you can, meaning make it feelable. Make your thought already start to go into the area of you can feel it. You can feel it, how it has entered your life. This is already a first step of, okay, now it's not just thinking about it, now you even feel it. It maybe is not there material-wise, but you can sense already what type of an energy and in which type of fluctuation within the flow of life actually that wish would put you. Okay, so that means you visualize something maybe, or you go into deep prayer about this thought that you have. Okay, this is what I regard as being a prayer. It's not just talking words. It's about diving in and trying to create that feeling, calling up, cultivating that thought that it really starts to become feelable. So this is one of the initial steps. What we have right now is what you are thinking and what you're feeling already starts to be still in harmony. Okay? And now, practice and continuously and with patience. Stay with it. If it's important to you, stay with it. Keep on cultivating it. Slowly, slowly, but give yourself some time. Everything that happens too quickly, which is changing the status quo too quickly, first of all, it's not helpful for us, and it most of the time is also destructive. But if you really want something, I think this is the way. Slowly, steadily, wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly meaning what? There is no doubt there. You are not doubting it. There's no doubt. It just means it hasn't manifested like in the way that it's right in front of the eyes, but just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But why so pure-heartedly? Because only the heart is the one that is, let's say, connecting us humans together. Only the heart is like that area that I would regard as giving the possibility of connecting. The heart is like the highest instrument, if you would say like this, the highest antenna to spread out the connection. And if you are sending from the heart the signals out to the universe, that there is something that there is something you would like to receive. I think the best way to express it is when it comes from the heart. So that means because you already have it inside of you, because the heart is the magnet, because it's magnetic, that's why it pulls. That's why it pulls. Yeah, I express it now again, maybe a little bit fluffy again, but it attracts the energy which is surrounding all of us to finally manifest what thought, what emotion, and what feeling, and what wish and desire you have inside of that heart. It's pulling it towards you. And this is why now when energy, strong energy, starts to come into your life, well, in order for something to be created, we need a lot of energy. So the ultimate question is always, if you want to manifest something into your life, you need energy for that. And what is the highest energy in this universe that we have? Some people call it sexual energy, or it is love. It is the energy that carries the potential to create life. This is normally what happens when two people come together and then go into a partnership, go into a bond, and create out of love new life. There is no other energy that can create new life. Two people hate each other, how they create new life? Two people are jealous amongst each other, how they create life? No, there's only one thing. And so law of attraction, or however it's called, I think it is based upon these type of thoughts. I don't know specifically, but once you are the magnet, you're pulling something towards you. This goes for all the positive things that you feel during the day or what you're cultivating, but especially like the negative. And I think even, maybe if you are constantly thinking about, worried about, fearful about something, this fear already went so strong that you feel it on a daily basis. And then you're wondering why it happens. This is also that sentence about the, how you call it, the self-fulfilling prophecy. So self-fulfilling prophecy, law of attraction, for me, I think they belong to the same category right now. It's just when we talk about attraction, we relate it a little bit more to something, let's say, positive, because people most of the time want to attract something positive. Nobody wants to attract something negative. But if it is negative, well, then it's a prophecy. It's the same. Both of these things coming somehow from the same principle that makes this possible to happen. The yin and the yang. Electric, magnetic. One spreading outwards, one pulling towards. The forces of the universe. The forces upon which our existence, our way of thinking, our way of feeling, our way of acting, our way of behaving is always and always based upon. You talk, you bring the message out, you send something out. You send something out, yeah, other people receive it. Some people are electric, other people become magnetic. And this is that constant idea. Of course, I talk in pictures. But as soon as you are able to relate something about your life to this duality, then you know, okay, you are embedded into this way of life as well. You are part of all of this. So it makes sense to figure out for yourself, what is there more? Okay? Then also now, duality is like the very beginning, yeah? It's like yin and yang. This is what people know. Easy way also, now you have the symbol right in front of you. On the one side, the black hairfish, on the other side, the white hairfish. And now you draw a cross right with through the circle. So you have 4 areas right now. And there, what do you see? There is a small black area and a large black area. There's a small white area and a large white area. Where the large white area ends, the small black one begins, and vice versa. So the message is, there is not just duality. If you now dive deeper into it, you even see different transition phases. This is now the next step. There is a transition happening in the moment you are reaching a certain valley or a certain peak. If you have reached the top of the mountain, there's only one direction where it will go. Once you know this, once you can sense it in your own life, in your different life areas, how is it professional-wise, in your professional life? Where are you standing? Do you have the feeling you are like in small growing mode? Are you already in super high expansion? In which state are you already? Relation-wise, physical-wise, mental health-wise. No matter, there are so many areas where you can actually relate this model now to. But it just gives you an additional idea that, first of all, what is most probable to happen next, or what are the possibilities that can happen next. Yes, and this is now the part where philosophy, old teachings, I think, can be used for application, but not for knowing. So knowing these things and being able to talk years long about what the philosophy behind it is good. These are so-called professors maybe. But the main part is to find a way to relate all of these teachings into your life. You are the one who is supposed to benefit from these teachings. The ones that wrote it, the ones that delivered all of this, they're not here anymore in this world. They left it here in case they left it for you to get the message and make it better than them maybe did it. That's the reason why normally you want to leave something in this world in order to, let's say, support the upcoming generations to not go through all the mistakes and challenges and difficulties you might have had to face. So it's always about your life. It's never about blindly following something just because somebody told you to follow.
I don't want to interrupt the video, but the next rule is one of my favorite, the warrior monk mindset. This is one of those things that we've spoken to a few different people about, but Master Shi Heng Yi manages to articulate it in a perfect way. And I think so many people, when they hear about the warrior monks, we put it on a pedestal, but Master Shi Heng Yi explains that this is applicable to our everyday life. Everybody has a warrior within them. Let's dive back into the video.
I think one thing that sticks out, and I think it will stick out to our viewers, is the Shaolin warrior. Is that something that can be applied to our normal life? Like somebody who's not practicing in a Shaolin temple, like can that Shaolin warrior sort of mindset and mentality be used?
we can try in the beginning to remove ourselves a little bit from the wording, because I think everybody who hears the word warrior, he will already have something in the mind what he is considering a warrior to be. But let's take another example that I think many people nowadays are somehow looking up to. We can take any successful person nowadays. So I think everybody can find someone who is successful in something. I don't think that this person reached his success or reached his position where he is at the moment without having some guiding principles in his lifetime. And one of them certainly is structure. So that means any successful person nowadays, I don't think he reached that point by just doing what he wants during the day. Maybe right now he's in the position that he can do what he wants, but how he got there is not by doing what he wanted. He put himself a structure, he put himself a guideline, and no matter how he felt during that day, this was the code, this was the mission, and this is what he kept. If you feel tired or not, if you are in the mood to do it or not, you had your structure and you kept it. So that also means at the same time, some people have the structure, it's written down, but then they still say, oh, okay, but yesterday I actually really worked hard enough. I think today I can really allow myself to rest. Okay, for some people it's working, but other people are still having this willpower and that discipline that say, it's a 1 week plan, the week is not over yet, so we still keep going. And this is also a topic that you can compare now. So what does this structure, so what do you want to say with that? Even so that we're in the 21st century and the possibilities of doing and exploring this world are so huge, it doesn't mean that you should freely do what you want at all times. This is not the way of how in the monastery, in the Shaolin Temple, we are regarding it as a healthy way of growing. And that means here, when you are in the temple, we simply have a schedule. The schedule is 6 o'clock is the working time, 6 a.m. starts the day. First of all, we take care of our animals. Afterwards, at 7 o'clock, we are preparing food for ourselves. At 8 o'clock, we are having the morning meditation. At 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock, we have the first training session. 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock is the working time for the monastery. Then 1 o'clock is lunch. Afterwards, it's a short break time until 3 o'clock. From 3 until 5 o'clock, it's another training session. Then follows 5 until 6, 1 hour of working time again. 6 o'clock dinner. 7 until 9, evening training. 9 o'clock is the evening ceremony. And this is how the day ends. 6 days a week. That means inside this daily structure, number one, there is no place for your own wishes, what you would like to do. So that means on the one side, yeah, but how come you are living, we are living right now in the 21st century, and the way how you are describing right now, this way of life, it really sounds like a prison to me, because you have no freedom of expressing what you want. Yes, it's correct like this, because just imagine for a moment you would live a life based on what you want. Then it would look like this. Yesterday evening, because we went out with our friends and stayed awake until 2 o'clock in the morning, even if today at 7 o'clock I have to be at work, but I don't feel like being at work because I drank too much. So, okay, so I'm just gonna rest at home, and who cares about my obligations at work? He needs to find a way, he can search for another person. So then you wake up, and because you're hungry, you directly run to the fridge at 9 o'clock, open the fridge, okay, nothing is in there, so first of all, order a pizza at 10 o'clock in the morning again. Then because the pizza, you didn't finish everything at 1 o'clock, you're hungry again, so you run to the fridge and just grab something out of there. Yeah. In the monastery, there are strict eating times. If you're hungry in between, you wait. You don't run every time to the fridge when you feel like running to the fridge. So, but now let's go extend it. Actually, you are in a relationship, but then you go with your friends into the city, and it's a very nice weather, and there are many other beautiful people running around in the city. And because you think, oh, I'm in a free world, we're in the 21st century, I can do what I want. Well, and this is why you're cheating on your partner. And maybe you can feel already in which direction this is going. We don't think the human is going to develop in a proper direction when he is just following what he thinks he wants to do. This is not the type of freedom that is helpful for yourself, and it's also not helpful for the people that are afterwards dealing with you. Because this type of freedom, you think it's the freedom of the mind. You think that everything the mind tells you, I need to follow. That means freedom. No, for us it's the other way around. To learn and not follow what the mind tells you. This is the first step towards freedom. Because during the 24-hour day, your mind tells you so many different things. Your mind tells you, you should do this right now. Yes, you just had an argument with another person. The mind tells you, hey, don't take the words just like this. He just insulted me. I need to insult him back. Yeah, I need to show him who the boss is. Yeah, or anything like this. The mind gives you during the day so many different instructions. But not all these instructions are helpful, because these are instructions which came from conditioning of the past. They come from how you were conditioned by your parents, conditioned by the teachers, conditioned by the government, conditioned by the politics, conditioned by the advertisement, conditioned by everything that nowadays has an impact on the way how we see the world. And to sometimes take a step back, and this is why it's called take a retreat. Retreat from yourself. Go back into observation mode. Yeah, stay calm. And just observe. So this time, we really want to be passive and be in the observation mode. Because this observation mode now really gives you the insight of where are you standing at this point of time in this life. When you are involved in doing, involved in activity, involved in creation, it's very hard to see where you're standing. And once again, and this is the way where we say both of these aspects we need. To learn and really be able to observe yourself, but at the same time, when you have set yourself a goal, when you set yourself a mission, to have the vitality, to have the power, to have the mindset, to have the determination, yeah, to have the willpower, just as we know them from the Shaolin warrior monks today. And it's not just in our tradition where I am coming from right now. These were the idols that I grew up with. But maybe if you would talk to another person which maybe has his descendants coming from Japan, maybe he would take the Japanese samurai as an example of the warrior codex. Maybe you go to the United States, I don't know, maybe over there you can take the Navy SEALs as an elite special force, which is also expressing a very powerful mindset in many different ways. So different cultural traditions had different idols, different type of powerful spirits that you can look up to. And from where I come from, these were the warrior monks.
We're closing out at the moment. We're getting close to the end of 2022. A lot of people have been asking, about new starts, new beginnings, how to plan for the new year, how to prepare for the new year. And I thought, who better to ask than yourself?
Thank you very much. Yes, so now, regardless of being located in the monastery, also in the past, I met a lot of people, including myself, that always, when there was the switch to the next year, many people always have their new plans and new ideas, what's going to change in the next year and what you're going to start to let go of and what maybe is going to be something new that you are starting to integrate into the next life. At the same time, sometimes it's also good to realize whether you are already sometimes caught within some type of a habit. And to take a step back, especially at these times when anyway things are slowly getting more quiet. I would suggest that everyone takes a personal small retreat. That means retreating back to yourself and really ask yourself that question. What is it essentially that you are looking for living this life? Regardless of how old you are right now, how much of where you want to go did you achieve already? And also, are you actually still finding yourself on the way to wherever you wanted to go? So first of all, before we even know which future direction you would like to go towards, number one is we need to know where are we actually standing right now. So to know where we're standing is, observe your surroundings. They can give you an indication where you are right now. Look around you. One indication. Second of all, look inside of you. How do you feel about the way of life that you are at the moment living? You had almost 365 days from that current year right now. How do you feel about it? Where did it brought you? Where did you decline? Where were you able to increase something about you? So number one is find out what is the status quo. Where are you located at the moment? And it is similar, like sometimes in a few Buddhist stories we are saying, before you know in which direction to sail, first of all, you need to know where you're located. Because the journey is not for everyone the same. In the way of what we are trying to share, we are trying to share methods, certain principles. But ultimately what needs to be done is that an individual person is starting to take all of these methods and applies them very specifically to your own personal way of, let's say, understanding. Because sometimes people ask, so I want to go to, let's just say, I want to go to New York. But one person is asking that question while he's located in the UK. And another person is asking me that question because he's located in Japan. That means the answer is not going to be the same. The goal is the same, but the answer that I would need to be given would be a different one. And therefore, it is very, very similar to now people asking, so this, and that is what I want. What should I do? I don't know. I can only give like the tools. I can only try to give some ideas and some ways of how you can use the mind to more intelligently approach that idea of fulfilling the goal. But the ultimate plan, which direction to travel, is something everyone personally must do. But therefore, in order for you to know, to now start and making up the plan where the journey is going to go, number one, we figure out what is our current state. So this is number one. And now, afterwards, I would like to give an introduction to something that in the Shaolin community, in the Buddhist community, it's already widespread and well known that there is a so-called guideline or a so-called Noble Eightfold Path, it is called. It is called Noble Eightfold Path because it is describing a journey to fulfill the fourth noble truths. I think we talked about it in a previous video where we went over the four noble truths, but this time we are at the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, to take something or to say something prior to this path, some people might see that there is a chronology behind the way of which of these steps to pay attention on first. But ultimately, they all go hand in hand. So what it means is the next 8 steps. This is not about that you need to do one after another. Actually, all of these, sooner or later, are taking place at the same time. Now, what is the emphasis of following a type of guideline? Where is this path guiding you towards? And I would say at the end, it is once again, it is those 3 areas that ultimately have an effect on the quality of how we are perceiving this life. It is your mental state, it is your physical state, and it is the way how you are embedded within this society. And especially that part about the society means that sometimes everyone just needs to think about what are virtues that you think are beneficial within a society to live together. Even if these rules are not written anywhere. Those are rules that go in, like, let's say, a mutual understanding. And to derive this type of view towards the other, This is what in the Buddhist terms we call it is the ethical conduct. The way how you are walking out into this world, with what type of own set rules are you walking through this lifetime. The simplest one and the most important one set already is you can self-express yourself in the way how you like, but you do not do so when you are harming others along the way. So that means the harm for others is something which belongs to the ethical conduct. It is something you are putting to yourself. So regardless of what you are doing, regardless of where this path is taking you, one codex is you're not going to harm anyone along this way. So, and that Noble Eightfold Path is actually combining all of these three areas: your mental state, your physical states, and the way of how you are interacting with the society. Let's start with the first path, which is called the right understanding. To give you an overview what's going to come right now, maybe it's easier if I just mention all 8 first of all. Number 1, the right understanding. Number 2, the right thought, right thinking. Number 3, right speech. Number 4, right action or right behavior. Number 5, right livelihood, the right way of earning your living. Number 6, the right effort. Number 7, the right concentration. And number 8, the right meditation. So, what does it mean, right understanding? And why is it, for example, mentioned now as the first state? I do think that if you are looking at the world already with predetermined concepts, looking at the world already with some type of expectation, then it's going to be very difficult to really see how the things are. So right understanding involves all these type of learning to see how the things are. Similar to that story, day and night, both at the same time. Same as the view, nothing in a way is permanent. The same way how you are realizing that many emotional states, many thoughts that are coming, they come and they go. None of them lasts. So that means there is a fluctuation of things. Right understanding means you're starting to look out in the world, observe just more around you to figure out maybe if there is a type of structure that you can see, things that are repeating. Because based on that, based on how much have you understood of how certain things in this world are functioning, based on that arises the right thought. How do you know if something is the right thought or even The next one being the right speech. Right thought or right speech, simply you can also just turn it around, being the absence of wrong thought or ill thought, or the absence of ill talk or bad talking. So just staying, for example, with number 1, number 2, and number 3. What does it mean? Right understanding, right thought, right speech. It is the way for you to prevent anything arising inside of you that has the seed of ill thought, of bad thought. You do not want to look at another person, to look at another creature, to look at another being and create something that you would regard as being an ill thought, let's say. The same goes for the right speech or the absence of right speech, meaning gossiping. Now, in that point of the right speech, it doesn't only mean to take care of what you are talking. It's also important to understand that sometimes, even if you would like to say the truth, even if your words are true, but it's not always the right point in time to speak the truth to someone. That can mean if somebody at this moment in time is very much emotionally charged. Something just happened in a few minutes ago. Sometimes it's not good to even use true words in such circumstances. So right speech doesn't only mean using words that don't hurt anyone. It also means using words at the right time with the right understanding. The right understanding that there are times where it's useful and there are other times where it's pretty much out of place. This is also belonging to a type of understanding that we would like to cultivate in ourselves under that category of right speech. So to bring it back into perspective, what is it that I would suggest for next year? What are you supposed to do right now? Give yourself a lecture. Give yourself a guideline that you are now trying to put it into practice. This guideline is that Noble Eightfold Path. So that means every day, think about what does right understanding mean to me. One way to do it is just do some research. What does right understanding mean? Based on that research, go back to yourself, look out in the world and try to understand what does right understanding mean. And then the next step, and what does the right understanding right now has to do with myself of which thoughts, what thoughts, and how are thoughts being created inside myself? So how does the way of how much you understand about this world affects the way of what type of thoughts are you cultivating? After you are starting to investigate of where your thoughts are coming from, you this time pay attention during that week everywhere where you're going. Take care about what is leaving your mouth. In which tone are you talking to people? What type of vocabulary are you using speaking with people? How is the intonation while you are talking to people? That means become aware of what is it that you are transmitting in the moment you are opening the mouth. Not necessarily what is it that you would want to transmit. First of all, also observe yourself. How does what is leaving your mouth is being communicated and is being understood by other people? Because it's not important what you mean by your words. It's important how does the other one understand it, what you just said. And that means a lot of misunderstanding can also be, let's say, reduced in the moment where you just become more aware of the impact of your words. And right speech integrates parts of what I just said right now. So being aware of what is it that you are saying. And all of them merge together with that ethical conduct that you do not want to harm others, neither with your thoughts nor with your speech. So then afterwards, the following points, for example, the right behavior. It almost goes without saying that first we are thinking something, then we are talking about it, then we are doing the things. So same goes here. Now pay attention to the actions that you are putting within the next year into the daily being. Because it's another 365 years where a type of conditioning is taking place. And this conditioning is consisting of the actions that you are doing, the habits that you are having, the behavior that you are putting towards others. Which then means the right livelihood. Right livelihood meaning how are you earning actually your possibilities of living this life. I think in that time where that noble eightfold path was developed, it also meant, for example, that if you have the ethical conduct to not harm too many beings, the right livelihood would quite a lot be in conflict of being a butcher. The right livelihood meaning by the way of how you are making your living. Are you causing harm along this way? Are you causing harm along this profession, let's say? And now you must understand that this type of guideline, this type of noble eightfold path is like centuries old. So what does it mean? It means that a lot of experience went into these type of statements. That means even if you are taking care of your right understanding, taking care of the right speech, taking care of the right thought, taking care of your right actions, but still you are embedded in a surrounding that by profession is causing harm, it's still at the end somehow difficult to really fully commit to that path. And this is now my interpretation why I think right livelihood does play an important role within the normal daily life. Because you can be and say that you're a really, really, let's say, person that doesn't want to cause harm. But then you must make it from beginning until end without any excuses in between, which also involves, therefore, the right livelihood. Yes. So number 6 is the right effort, meaning you know the path, you know what needs to be done. And sometimes doing the right things is a difficult thing to do, because it's not always what naturally arises. It is something that you need to condition yourself in. It is something you need to train yourself in doing so. And therefore, I think right effort, meaning to continuously pay attention and have patience in fulfilling and trying to put this type of guidelines into your daily life. Now, right concentration, meaning to be aware of where you are focusing your energy. That is already like beneficial if you just try to put as much as you understand from these paths into your daily life. But nevertheless, if somebody really wants to know what does it mean, you need to do the research. Yeah, you cannot really just rely on, let's say, my interpretation, because that's exactly what it is. It is my understanding of how these wordings do have a meaning in my life, how I put them into practice. Yes, but I'm very sure that there is way more to each of these sentences. But that is dependent on where is somebody standing right now. Somebody who's just starting this path, he has one type of understanding. Somebody who already knows these type of guidelines, who already knows them for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, some decades, who already practiced them for some decades, he has another understanding with them. Yes, it's just that this path is like showing you off if there is something to adjust within your life. Which are the areas to adjust? And that means adjust first of all. Do you have the proper understanding in what you as a human being at the moment are embedded in? Meaning, if you think this world is about you, think again. Maybe you misunderstood something. That's why the right understanding is something very, very fundamental for everything else to follow. Yes? Then afterwards, after let's say you understand, okay, let's just assume I understand, or I can see apparently that there is a connection between us humans, between the people that you are dealing with. Let's just assume there is a connection. If there's a connection, merge together with the ethical conduct that you do not want to harm, which would normally automatically arise in the moment where you feel the connection. Then it means in the way of how I am thinking, in the way how I am talking, I do not want you to get any harm from that. So that means what type of thoughts are you cultivating towards your colleagues at work? You regard them as being colleagues, that you are all working on the same mission, let's say. You're all pulling on the same rope, or you're regarding yourself being surrounded between your colleagues and this is about competing. These are moments where a thought can arise. Afterwards, same with the speech, same with the actions. Coming once again to the way how you are earning your daily life. And now the other 3 areas that we think need some improvement is the way, first of all, are you meditating? Do you have inside your daily life a meditative practice? In meditative practice, you find plenty of ways and plenty of explanations how to either get started with it or even to just get a glimpse of why would it be necessary to integrate this meditation inside of you. And meditation is the practical way. It's the practical way to start and see more. Why to meditate? To bring clarity to your life. What to do when I have clarity in my life? I start to see things better and therefore start once again to understand things better. So there you right now, for example, can see that meditative practice is very closely related also to the amount of how and what you are understanding. This is why it's not the chronology of steps that somebody is going through. All of this at the same time, as much commitment as you would like, as much effort as you would like to put into this type of practices. But since, let's say, people were asking, so I don't know what to do. What should I do? That is the traditional Buddhist guideline of starting the path. And afterwards only come one sentence that maybe people have read before. There are only two mistakes along this way. You are not starting this one, or you are not bringing this one to the end. That's it.